It's a strange fate that we should suffer so much fear and doubt over so small a thing.
There's an incredible passion behind this project, which I don't think I've ever witnessed to this extent.
3 movies at one time. I'm so blessed and lucky to be a part of this project.
Everyone that was a part of this gave up 2 years of their life, and I think that that really comes across in the film.
During the next half hour, we'll discover why the opening of the Fellowship of the Ring, the first movie in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, has fueled unprecedented anticipation. We'll join its international cast in New Zealand for adventures on and off the set.
Here I'm going now.
And we'll get an exclusive sneak preview of one of the movie's most exciting scenes. Welcome to Quest for the Ring.
I'm sure the audience watching will be full of fear and anticipation. It's the ultimate adventure story.
The Lord of the Rings takes place in a world called Middle-earth, a vision of our own planet, predating recorded history. It is an age when peace and freedom are under attack from dark forces bent on destruction. Unaware of the approaching danger are the hobbits, a small, peace-loving people closely related to humans. One hobbit, Frodo Baggins, has led a simple life until he inherits a ring. He learns from the wizard Gandalf that it is in fact the One Ring, an instrument of absolute evil, forged by the Dark Lord Sauron.
This simple band of gold which contains in its very essence the blood of evil, ultimate evil. That ring will corrupt whoever has it in its possession. And Gandalf isn't sure that he, even a superhuman immortal as he is, he's not sure that he can resist the force of the ring, but he has faith that a hobbit can. Very touching.
What must I do? Frodo has an amazing amount of trust in Gandalf, and anything that Gandalf would ask Frodo to do, Frodo would know that it would be for the best.
Accompanied by his friends, Sam, Merry, and Pippin, Frodo sets out on a quest to destroy the ring. But that can only be accomplished by throwing it into the fires of Mount Doom, in the heart of the Dark Lord's territory. This heroic quest sprang from the imagination of J.R.R. Tolkien, professor of ancient languages and mythology at England's Oxford University. Tolkien spent 14 years writing the 3-volume epic, read by more than 100 million people around the globe. For 5 decades since it was published, most assumed the enormous scope of The Lord of the Rings would prevent it from ever being made into a live-action movie. Then, New Zealand filmmaker Peter Jackson took up his own quest to bring Tolkien's masterpiece to the screen.
It's taken 50 years for The Lord of the Rings to be adapted into a live-action movie. And I think there's 2 key reasons for that. The first one is that New Line Cinema supported the idea of not just making 1 film, but 3 films. You don't attempt to adapt the most beloved book of all time in a way that you have to cut half of the good stuff out.
If you're too far away, just ease your horse back in as the scene progresses, you know, just keep it alive.
The other key reason that Lord of the Rings can be made today is because of the advances in technology that really have only come about in the last 7 or 8 years. We are now able to really just push through that the barrier of what is possible to show.
Jackson believed that to do The Lord of the Rings justice, a revolutionary approach was required. He decided to shoot the entire movie trilogy non-stop over a 2-year period.
Lord of the Rings is a production that, for the first time in the history of cinema, has tackled making 3 films at once. And the complications of doing that are exponential from making 1 film or even making 2 films at the same time.
At the earliest stage of pre-production, Jackson collaborated with Richard Taylor, who heads up Weta Workshop.
Richard has, with enormous dedication and enthusiasm, taken on one of the most difficult jobs of creating every single piece of armor, every single weapon, building all the miniatures, and the various creatures that are appearing in the films have always originated from his workshop.
The first thing that I realized I had to do was hire experts in the fields of armor and weapons manufacture. So we employed a very skilled swordsmith, Peter Lyons, who has hand ground all of the lithe steel, spring steel blades as they were done hundreds of years ago.
For cast members like Viggo Mortensen, who plays the rugged loner Aragorn, the authenticity of Weta's 48,000 pieces of armor and weaponry brought Middle-earth to life.
A lot of times you see a movie that the extras or the people in the background, their weapons or their uniforms or their clothing, they're just good enough to get by. But in this, every single thing has been done exquisitely.
It sounds ridiculous, but one of the major reasons I wanted to play Galadriel was for the ears, because I've always wanted to have pointy ears. Of course I wanted to work with Peter, and of course I love the books, but I was interested in being part of something which had that fantastical element.
5 separate units filmed daily throughout New Zealand, often in remote locations, accessible only by helicopter.
New Zealand is ideally suited to bringing Lord of the Rings to the screen because Tolkien wrote the book as a mythic prehistory. It was supposed to take place in a Europe that existed in a dark age that we've long since forgotten.
Middle-earth is a real place, and it's New Zealand.
As with the book, the movie begins in Hobbiton, a rural village in the heart of the Hobbits' idyllic land, the Shire.
Hobbiton was a very important location for us to find. We explored the country north, south, east and west and found this little pocket of land. We then had to put 20 or 30 hobbit holes into the sides of the hills. And I said that, look, one of the things that's essential with Hobbiton is that this place has to look like hobbits have lived here for hundreds of years. And so we actually started to plant vegetables in the gardens of Hobbiton about a year before our filming.
Jackson felt it was crucial for the audience to relate to the hobbits, a people small in stature, but large in heart.
Hobbits are a pastoral, sort of an agrarian species, a settled community. They love life, they love to eat. I mean, their whole day can be based around their meals.
Some of my favourite days filming certainly have been in Hobbiton. It's just hobbits in their element, having fun.
Stick it in the ground. In the ground. Absolutely. That's a good idea.
And that was great to see because from then on in the movie, there's so much toil and danger.
As the hobbits set out on their journey, they cannot imagine the evil forces arrayed against them. By the time they do, it'll be too late to turn back.
There! Mr. Frodo's not going anywhere without me.
The first film of the Lord of the Rings trilogy is named for the company of heroes joining Frodo on his quest.
You shall be the Fellowship of the Ring.
Gandalf the wizard, Legolas the elf, Gimli the dwarf, the hobbits Frodo, Merry, Pippin, and Sam. And humans Boromir and Aragorn. Each has his own ideas about the Ring of Power.
He's a man and he's coming with a very clear opinion about what he wants and how he thinks the ring could assist him and bring his homeland back to what it was before, because at the moment it's in ruins, it's sort of devastation, it's been attacked from all fronts, and he sees the ring as a solution to that.
Aragorn is the story's most physical character. Viggo was intent on doing all his own riding, fights, and stunts.
Viggo's the kind of an actor that one day got his tooth split, knocked off by a sword, and asked if they could glue it back on with super glue so he could finish the scene.
They'd have to drag me screaming, kicking away from doing any of it, really.
Dwarves are represented in the Fellowship by Gimli.
Gimli the dwarf, that exciting, vivacious, dynamic character. He's a ferocious warrior.
Equally capable in battle is Legolas the elf.
An elf is always alert and poised, ready for action. He's an assassin.
The Fellowship's courage and fighting skills are impressive, but not enough to discourage the evil creatures pursuing them. Most terrifying of all are the Ringwraiths, servants of the Dark Lord, who will stop at nothing in their pursuit of Frodo and the Ring.
They have very poor eyesight, but they have this incredible sense of smell. So they're like hounds, bloodhounds, sniffing the ring. They're scary. They're the sort of things of which nightmares are made from.
Gandalf has long known of the Ringwraith's descent into evil, but he's caught off guard when he seeks advice about the ring from Saruman the White, chief of the Wizard's Order.
Saruman is number one. Saruman is very definitely the most brilliant, the most powerful, with the greatest intellect and the greatest knowledge. Gandalf, well, he's number two. His whole character becomes perverted and distorted, and he lusts for power. And gradually, as it very often does, the old but famous quote, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
The heroes of the Lord of the Rings cannot triumph over evil with swords and physical strength alone. Victory will depend on more intangible weapons, courage, friendship, and love. In one of the story's most poignant relationships, the elven princess Arwen knows she must sacrifice her immortality if she is to wed the man she loves.
The idea really that I give up my immortality for him is so strong, you know, that I give up the life that I have and everything that's comfortable to me and my family and my people and everything. It's this exceptional love story.
I choose a mortal life.
Deep bonds of loyalty and friendship are woven throughout The Lord of the Rings.
The friendship between Frodo and Sam is a very, very powerful friendship. I see it really as being an example of pure friendship, of friendship without strings attached. That I am here for you, I'm here to help you, and I don't expect anything in return.
Sam loves Frodo and wants to protect Frodo, and Frodo is extremely protective of Sam. And so what you have are these two people locked in this journey together, even if it means right into Mordor and into death.
Just as Frodo and Sam spend every day together on their quest, actors Elijah Wood and Sean Astin begin every day together in the makeup trailer.
Every day we come into work at the same time, get up at 5 in the morning, put our feet on. We're all, we're there every step of the way.
This is how we discover our day. We come in, it's dark, we don't, the world is not awake yet. We get our feet on, and you look outside.
That's half of why this movie is so amazing. This kind of stuff, every day. Our journey through making this film kind of mirrors the journey of Frodo and Sam. It's definitely one of the closest relationships I've had. I mean, I feel like I've gained a brother in Sean.
The Lord of the Rings can most simply be described as a journey. But Frodo and the Fellowship are not the only travelers. The film's cast and crew signed on for their own multi-year adventure. Before any other cast members arrived, Jackson brought together his Hobbit foursome, believing their relationship would be key to the cinematic quest that lay ahead.
We had 6 weeks of preparation together, and through that 6 weeks, we really bonded. We trained, we did sword training together, we did dialect coaching together, we did script meetings together.
We had like 6 weeks of training, kind of sword fencing and canoeing and going to the gym, getting that hobbit physique.
For the whole fellowship, nearly all of whom celebrated 2 birthdays during filming, the production's length and intense physical demands made The Lord of the Rings a formidable quest to complete.
You sometimes had to climb up mountains again and again and again, and tramp through the countryside in inclement weather, and get up very early in the morning. And if you're 61, at least you begin to say to yourself, is this really how I want to spend my time? The answer is yes, because the project's worth doing.
On days off, when they weren't nursing bumps and bruises, cast members enjoyed the beauty of New Zealand in their own personal way.
When I'm not working, I do like to spend a certain amount of time by myself. I mean, nobody gets much time on this movie to themselves.
What do I do on my days off? Well, most recently, I've been throwing myself out of aeroplanes. And sliding down snow on a board. I've been throwing myself out of cable cars.
Here I'm going now.
And it's amazing.
On this voyage, the person with the least time off is the man at the helm, Peter Jackson.
Mental tiredness, mental fatigue is, I guess, the biggest problem on a film like this. And the way that I combat that, I just say to myself, is there anything I would rather be doing? Would I rather be anywhere else other than making this film? And obviously the answer is no. This is exactly what I'm doing, what I would love to do.
Yeah, look. That was very good. I tell you what, there was just one note that I have.
Pete's passion and vision for this movie, his knowledge of the books, his devotion to recreating Tolkien's vision, all of those things are just amazing. And I have the utmost respect for him.
He's incredibly exacting and a perfectionist, which I admire and warm to. But he's very good-humoured, and I think that is absolutely vital in a director who is tackling these stories.
He is the Lord of the Rings.
But you're also in an attacking stand.
It seems appropriate that The Lord of the Rings, a life-consuming work for its author, should prove to be the most challenging movie project ever.
Doing 3 movies with all the complexity and detail that these films have, all crunched together at the same time, is something I probably will never want to do again in my life. This is the first and only time.
Cut. Good. Okay, we'll just do one more.
If we make a film that has the heart and the spirit of the books, that the characters come alive and feel real in a way that they do when you read the books, then all of that will be totally accessible to an audience that have not read the books. They'll simply just be thrust into the middle of a great story, which ultimately Lord of the Rings is.
As promised, tonight we premiere an exclusive clip from the Fellowship of the Ring. The Fellowship has entered the once great underground kingdom of the dwarves, Moria, now overrun by evil forces. They had hoped to pass through unnoticed.
Frodo. Get back! Take what's the Gandalf!
They have a cave troll.
Let them come. There is one dwarf yet in Moria who still draws breath.
quest begins with the Fellowship of the Ring opening on 10,000 screens across the globe. Wherever you are in the world, your movie ticket is a passage to Middle-earth, where we'll join Frodo and the Fellowship on the adventure of a lifetime.